Good morning, Facebook tribe. Um, I'm hopping on this morning with a combination message. I actually didn't know exactly what I wanted to talk about. There's a lot on my mind, and I actually need to start keeping like a pad of paper next to me with ideas because I have so many different inspired ideas to share with you guys on a regular basis, and I feel like lately the channeling has like really been intense for bringing messages to you guys. And I know that because every time I put a video out, I get so many messages on, man, I really needed to hear that. Man, thanks so much for putting that out there. Man, that totally clarified some stuff for me. So I know that right now I'm in this place of like really opening up my channel and receiving what people need to hear about or talk about. And so for today, I really wanted to talk about my weight loss journey and my body journey in general. But I wanted to talk about that in context because in and of itself it doesn't really matter. But in the context of where I've been and what has happened in the past nearly 6 months, it does matter because of the quality of life I now have as a result of that. So I titled this podcast, No Struggle, No Strength, No Goals, No Growth. And that's a quote from a podcast by Brendon Burchard called The Charged Life. So if you don't know who Brendon Burchard is, you should. He's amazing. He's really inspiring. He has a podcast. It's free. It's called The Charged Life. And he has a particular segment of episodes in his podcast where he talks about mastering change. He talks about what happens to us when we hit a wall of explosive awareness. So like for him, when he was 19, he got into a really bad car accident in a foreign country, and he had this really huge defining moment. Good morning, Beth. He had a huge defining moment as he was literally hanging out of the windshield of the car, covered in blood, and he looked up and he saw this beautiful, huge full moon, and he had like a come to Jesus moment, basically, where he asked himself, like, have I lived? Have I done anything of significance? Have I made impact? Have I mattered? Type of thing. And the answer was no. And he told himself that if he lived and was able to get back on his feet, literally and figuratively, then he would dedicate the rest of his life to figuring that out. And he did. And since then, he actually had several things happen to him. Other accidents and injuries and major life crises, like going bankrupt and having a brain injury at some point as well. And he just continued to thrive in his life. And he talks a lot about like how he was able to do that and what making that choice to continue, making that choice to thrive despite his circumstances, how that has dramatically changed the course of his life. And he now has a business around it. He's a motivational speaker, he's a private consultant, and it's a multi-8-figure business a year that he has around this. And it started from a place of being able to be resilient and being able to thrive even in the face of adversity. And he had a lot of adversity. And he talks a lot about when he started his consulting business, he had just gone bankrupt, and he had nothing to his name. He was living in the apartment that belonged to his then girlfriend, and all he had was a borrowed laptop to build this empire that he now has. And it really took a lot of just straight up determination, sheer obstinance at some points to build what he had, because he was also building it in a world where social media wasn't really a thing, and this idea of social marketing wasn't a thing. And I found his story so inspiring because he's so transparent about his difficulties, and he's so just like, yep, this is what happened, and this is a choice that I made. And he talks about people who will walk up to him after his talks and after he shares his story and say, well, Brendon, I had an accident and it was way worse than yours, but my life didn't I didn't have an aha moment out of it. Why is that? And he says, well, it's really simple. It's because I made a choice in the moment that I had that accident to have an aha moment. I made a choice in the moment that life smacked me against something that was really shaking to open my eyes and have an aha moment. But in the same way, you can make a choice to not have an aha moment. And that's, to me, when he said that, I was like, yes, that is the beauty of being born with free will. That is what we get to do on this planet because we are born with free will. We get to choose how we're going to respond to our circumstances. We get to choose how we're going to be in relationship to our story. And he also mentions in one of those episodes not to hate the struggle, to really honor the struggle. So no matter what your struggle is, whether it's, I need to lose 60 pounds and I continuously try something and then fail, and I try something and then fail, or good morning, Jen, or I try to build a business and I've tried to build several businesses, but they never worked out, or your struggle is a relationship, I'm scared to start a relationship, or I'm scared to leave a relationship, or whatever the struggle is. He talks so much about not hating the struggle and honoring the process, because at the end of that is when you find your strength. And that is so epically true on so many levels. I think back to the times in my life when I really, really struggled, and they were so character defining. And he says over and over again in his podcast that if you didn't have those moments that really brought you to your knees, that really made you want to pull your hair out and question your existence and really humbled you through and through, then you would never have the kind of character definition that creates your story, that creates your success, that eventually creates the kind of person that you become so that other people can come to you seeking guidance, right? So I love his podcast. I love his message. It touched a really strong chord with me the past couple days that I've been listening to it, because I've been in and out of my own struggles, whether it's with running my business or with my personal goals, or when I got really sick and I was in South Florida and I had to not work out. My testimony, exactly. Yeah. I've had a lot of those. I've had a lot of run-ins with struggle, with really, really hard struggles. And one of them, which is what I mentioned at the beginning of this video, was body image and my relationship to my body. And I think it all started because I was born into a body that was deemed defective or broken. And I was born with a heart condition. I had heart surgery very early in my life. I had open heart surgery when I was 3 days old. Okay, I weighed 8 pounds when I went into open heart surgery. And by the end of the surgery, I weighed 6. So I lost a significant amount of my body mass in that surgery. And frankly, the only reason I survived was because I was born fat, according to the doctor. So first of all, the irony of that situation, that because I was born on the heavy side, I was actually able to survive a surgery of that caliber and thrive, which is amazing. And obviously I had a great surgeon and I had a great team. I've never needed surgery since, which is a rarity for people born with my condition. And I've been able to play sports and I'm physically active and I lift weights, all within measure, of course. But I was born into a body that was immediately deemed defective. And I spent years of my life, and I still do. Now I go every 2 years to go see a cardiologist. But for a long time, it was every 6 months. And I would spend an entire day in a hospital. God works miracles. He did for me too. I was born blue. Yeah, I was born blue also. So that's kind of the same story. Yeah, it is miraculous. I was in the hospital every 6 months growing up and doing all this test work all day long. I would spend the entire day in the hospital. I remember in and out of different machines, in and out of different test work. And so for a young child growing up who didn't understand or didn't have perspective, this just communicated to me that I was defective. It communicated to me that I was broken and that I was inherently not valuable, if that makes sense. And I know now as an adult, I look at that and I'm like, whoa, that's so like far-fetched. But as a kid growing up, you don't know. The only thing you know is that you're different from all the other kids and that you can't do what the other kids can do. I couldn't do PE. I couldn't play soccer like I wanted to. I couldn't do a lot of things because I was medically restricted. And that sort of became a defining template for me my entire life. Yeah, exactly. Now I'm healthy and tall. Yeah. So, of course, now I'm super healthy, and none of those limitations apply. I had my child naturally, which I was told I would never be able to do. Growing up, once again, another message, like, you're never going to be able to have a vaginal birth, so, like, maybe you should consider your options now for a different kind of birth. And I was like, what are you even talking about? And, you know, now I have a son, and I had him naturally and successfully, and it was a perfect delivery, and I feel so incredibly proud of that, because once again, that was a testament to overcoming those messages that I received very early in my life. But part of that, because I wasn't allowed to be very physically active and I wasn't allowed to participate like the other kids, I got heavy and I gained weight quickly when I was young. And I also had a figure on me very early as far as like hips and waist, and it attracted a lot of like wrong attention, and it made me feel really uncomfortable because I wasn't in the size clothing that my classmates were, and I didn't look like them, and it made me very self-conscious. I remember feeling highly self-conscious even at like the age of like 8, which is so young. It's crazy to me that a girl that age, or even a boy that age, would feel anything but like childlike enthusiasm for their life, but I really felt self-conscious. And that just continued for the rest of my life. It was like, the first time I remember, never energy and negative attention, me too, yeah. And the first time I remember, like, withholding food from myself so that I would lose weight, I was 11, you guys. I was 11 years old, which is insane. Like, I think about that and it makes me want to cry because I was so little. And that was really like, I was trying to get thin. I was trying to fit this ideal. I was trying to, I don't even know whose ideal I was trying to fit, but clearly that was like an important thing for me as a kid. And that continued for the rest of my life. I had a very, very unhealthy relationship to food for the rest of my young adult life, and I always would binge or eat when no one was really paying attention. And then I started drinking alcohol really early, and I would binge on alcohol because it was like sort of like an emotional self-soothe. Alyssa, me too, yeah. And I just spent a lot of time in a binge cycle. I spent a lot of time in this like extreme place, and I remember like grabbing my body and hating it, like grabbing my abdomen and feeling angry and feeling betrayed by my own body because I looked a certain way, and, you know, hating food. You've outcome so much. I've been there. It's what society deems looks good in its pretty body. Yeah. And I, as a young person, you just kind of absorb all those messages and you don't really stop to think about like, oh, maybe, you know, I don't have to be that way, you know? And actually, Marissa and I were talking about this yesterday. She's like, she was thinking to herself, like, when did I start caring what other people thought about me? And I remember caring so young. Yes, we are perfect. That's true. And I remember caring so young. I remember being so self-conscious so young, and it just continued forever, it seemed. And then I remember, you know, the first time I ever tried Hip Hop Abs, which is a Beachbody workout. I bought it off of an infomercial when I was 19, and I was like, okay, I've never really done exercise. I don't know shit about exercise. I'm gonna try exercise because I need something, right? I wanted a healthier outlet versus having this really push-pull relationship with food. And because I didn't have much support, and because I didn't really have like a community of people, I didn't stay with the program. I did it for a week. I felt really good after my first week, and then I dropped off the program and I didn't continue it. When you're young, it's easy to get caught up in what others think. Yeah, that's super true. And it just stays with you for so long, isn't it true? Like, you pick it up young and it just stays. It's crazy. So yeah, I picked it up when I was 19 and I did it, and I felt really great for that week, and then I dropped off, and once again I went back into like this kind of binge pull relationship. And it wasn't until, I would say, I was at my heaviest around the age of like 24 or 23. So I have a frame, I'm 5'5", and right now I weigh 148 pounds, which is actually the what I weighed in high school. Oh my God, I've tried so many workouts. Yes. So I failed at them too, guys. Like, I just want you to know I'm human, and I did at-home workouts like the ones I do now, and I failed at them, and it happens. Like, it totally is a thing, and it happens. And I think we get afraid to try new things because we failed at them before, and we just have this idea that it's just going to happen all over again. I totally get that. And at my heaviest, when I was 160, I weighed 160. I now weigh 148, so I was 20 pounds heavier, and this was before having a baby. I was really at a loss, so I turned to nutrition. That's really when I turned my focus to paleo. I started eating paleo, and I lost a good amount of weight, and I felt better. I had more energy. I wasn't eating processed food, and that's when my interest in nutrition kind of turned on, and that has stayed with me since then. I really have. Nutrition has been something I learned. I didn't know how to cook. I had to teach myself how to cook food because my family doesn't eat that way, and I didn't know what I was doing. So I taught myself how to cook. I taught myself how to prepare food. And slowly that helped me, but fitness was still not a thing in my life. And it really wasn't until I became a yoga instructor right before I got pregnant. I went through yoga teacher training, and I did this really intense 200-hour in 4 months yoga teacher training that I was the most active consistently that I had been in a long time. When I moved to Miami, I was working out maybe for like 6 to 8 months pretty consistently at the gym, but I was spending so much time at the gym. I was there like 2 hours a day. And I was still not getting the kind of results that I wanted because I really didn't understand the organization of like weight training versus cardio, or I just didn't have the background. So I wasn't really getting the results that I wanted. Numbers weren't changing too much. I did yoga teacher training. I started to see a little bit more calm in my life. Like, my mindset really shifted. I started to have less anxiety. I started to feel better in general about my life. My body trimmed down a lot. I was practicing Ashtanga yoga a lot, which is a very vigorous yoga practice. Heaviest now, unfortunately, I'm about to be 25. I'm going to start working out again. Not been active lately. Yes. So all of this brings me back to having my baby. I had my baby, and then I got the heaviest that I had ever been. I gained 30 pounds in my pregnancy, which is normal. It's healthy weight. But I didn't lose nearly jack of it after I had my baby. And I was breastfeeding exclusively and still not dropping any weight at all. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, really, what is this drama about? And people told me, yeah, if you breastfeed, you'll lose all this weight. I lost maybe like 10 to 12 pounds right after I had my kid, like really easily. And that was basically the baby and water. But then after him, it just stayed on. And on top of that, I felt so sluggish, and I had lost so much strength, so much core strength, because I had, your belly gets outstretched, and I just felt really out of whack. My joints hurt. I was having like swelling still. It was really awful. And that was my before pictures. If you've seen them, they're on my cover photo on my leg page. That was the heaviest that I had ever been. 167 pounds was really like a lot of weight for me. And that's when I became a coach. And when I became a coach and I decided to try an at-home workout program, I was very nervous because, like I said, I have the background of hip-hop abs, which I started and didn't complete, and there have been a couple other workouts that I was not as interested in, but I started at home because I thought the convenience of working out at home would be great for me, and then I realized that I didn't stick to them. So I was nervous about that because I already had that in my history. But this time, after having my son, I had a lot of social anxiety. I had a lot of anxiety in general after I had him, but part of the anxiety I had was social anxiety. So going out of my home to do anything really stressed me out and spun me out. And also the idea of having anybody watch my son other than me, I was like a terror about it. Yeah, that's wrong what I am. Okay, so you understand. I was really stressed out about anybody watching my son. So I decided to myself, I need to get fit. I don't want to leave my house because I'm having social anxiety. I don't want anybody else to watch my son, so I'm going to have to work out at home. Like, that's just what it comes down to. I'm going to have to do this, and I'm going to have to make it work. So I got PiYo, which is a Pilates and yoga program, and I did it, and I stuck to it for those 60 days. I did it every single day except for my rest day, and I lost, out of the gate, I think I lost like 10 pounds. And I felt so much better. I was also on Shakeology. Shakeology alone, by the way, really helps with metabolizing sugar in your body and stabilizing your body, and it naturally helps you lose weight. So if all you did was drink Shakeology, your body would begin to lose weight by itself because it regulates the body, okay? And I didn't know this. I didn't have this when I was 19. So I was on Shakeology, I was working out, and I lost 10 pounds. And it was the first time in my life that I actually lost weight, for one. And it was the first time in my life that I stuck with anything, because now I was a coach, and now I had a community of people to check in with and have, video chats with and talk with and share my struggles with. So of course the accountability was there, and I was much more present. After that, I did 21 Day Fix, still on Shakeology, lost another 5 pounds. Then I'm now on Hammer and Chisel. I've lost a total of 20 pounds in the 5 months that I've been a coach, and I've lost like 14 inches, something like that, like 14, 15 inches all over my body. My clothes pre-pregnancy are loose now, and it's the healthiest kind of weight loss I've ever had. And I say that because I no longer feel this addiction to. What would happen in the past was when I found something that worked, I would get like addicted to it. And if I missed a day, or if I, ate something that was not strictly on my plan, shall I program pricing and all? I will. We'll talk about it. If I missed a day on my program, or I ate something that was not on my nutrition plan, I would freak out. I would have like a mental breakdown about me missing something, or like me falling off track, because I became obsessive with this notion of like losing weight, like I have to lose weight. And it was really, really unhealthy. It was not a place where I would want anybody to be. And where I am now, and what I realize now, is that my goal, right, for my growth is really about feeling really happy in my body, feeling really comfortable in my body. And that doesn't look like a certain type of body, but it has a very specific feeling. And so for me, my goal now is that feeling. My goal is that connection to that feeling of, yes, this feels healthy. This feels vibrant. This feels comfortable. This feels like me. Like, that is my goal, and that is where my growth is now. Because now, numbers wise, I'm way past my original goal, which was 150, which was my pre-pregnancy weight. So now I'm at a point where, what do I really want? And that's what I really want. So if I have a cupcake one day, it's okay. I don't freak out anymore. If I have a waffle one day, that's okay. You're allowed to have waffles. And that's something that I love about the 21 Day Fix plan, is that it's flexible. It allows you to live life. It's not a restrictive diet. It's a lifestyle. It's all about teaching you what balance looks like and getting you away from the obsession. Because for me, it was so easy to get obsessive about needing to lose weight or eating a certain thing. And once again, I have that history of binging. So at the moment I get obsessed, I binge, and it just becomes this really cyclical thing. So for me to be where I am now, to look at my past struggles, to look at the long history that I have of being in this resistant relationship with my body and resistant relationship with food, and seeing where I am now, which is a place that is so incredibly healthy and open-minded and flexible and comfortable in my skin and in my journey, is crazy. I would have never ever dreamed of being where I am now and how I feel about me. And it's only improving as I continue to be on a program and working out. And once again, I only work out 30 minutes a day, and I do it in my living room while my kid is napping or while my kid is playing. And for me, that saved my life. I didn't have to get up and go anywhere to work out. I didn't have to interrupt my life, because I would get very anxious if my routine would get interrupted. So I didn't have to do that. I would just be like, okay, 30 minutes, I'm going to push play. I'm going to do whatever they're doing, because they're trainers and they have skills and they know how to work out a body. So I'm just going to push play. I'm going to do whatever they're doing for 30 minutes. I'm just going to eat whatever the plan is and drink Shakeology. Like, that's it. That's all I have time to do. I'm a mom. I'm stressed. I'm anxious. And it worked, guys. It worked. It worked like a freaking charm. 30 minutes. I didn't have to go to the gym for an hour or 2 hours, or that's all I needed was 30 minutes of a workout that was structured well, that was structured appropriately for my goal. And I hit it. And I continue to hit these goals. It's insane. It's insane how well it works. And I'm so grateful that I figured out that the community aspect was what I was missing. The accountability aspect was what I was missing, because that really saved the game for me. It like really upped my results a ton. So if this speaks to you, like if you're like, man, I'm constantly in the struggle, like that's my life. I'm in the struggle and I can't find my strength, or I'm in like, I want to goal set, but I'm not growing. I'm not going where I want to go. Then let's talk about that, because I've been there. I've been there a lot, especially when it came to my body image, my relationship to food, my relationship to fitness. It has been a journey, y'all, for real, which is why this is so important to me now. And my service is so important to me now, because I know that story. And I don't know you personally, and your story is specific to you, but I know my story. And if it affected you in any way, like my story affected me, then I want you to have something that can help you. I want you to have something that is not going to hold you back, that is not going to create more obsessive patterns, that is not going to create more negative tapes. I want you to have something that will put you in a position to grow and to find your strength in a healthy way. That's it. That's what I want you to have. All right? So thank you so much for hopping on and watching. Jen, I will contact you directly. And if I can serve any of you, if you want to talk about your story, if you need some guidance, just let me know. Love you guys. Thanks so much for hopping on.